Hey,
So that
Barton.
is,
Yeah, great.
hello. Yes, namaste.
Namaste. Yeah, so this is an interview with Barton Brent for the Burn Within interview series, and Barton's just showing me now what his life is like, and actually where he is. It looks like um, a series of spider webs covering him. Barton, you just told me that that's actually to keep monkeys out. Whereabouts are you in the world at the moment?
So I'm in Bundi, Rajasthan,
Bundi, Rajasthan.
which is northern India,
Hmm.
and so it's the edge of the Thar Desert. So small town,
Wow. Okay.
very old. This is a 800-year-old city. The
Wow.
palace, the fort behind me is 1300 built. So,
Wow. Wow. So much history, so much culture there as well.
so, so much. It's amazing,
Yeah.
and it's very different from America, where
Hmm.
if you have a 100-year-old homestead, that's ancient.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, America wasn't the modern day America wasn't around then when
No,
that fort was built.
and so I'm from the state of Missouri, which was a state in 1821.
Mm.
So
Wow.
it was just the Native Americans there.
Hmm. Goodness me, what a different world.
Totally different.
So thanks very much for agreeing to be interviewed, and I had a really lovely chat with you a few weeks ago, and you told me a little bit about your story. A lot of people have been very interested um, to hear about your story and the kind of journey that you've had. And part of this series, the purpose of this series really is to help people move from, if they're in burnout or they're fed up of life, to help them transition to a life where they're accessing more passion and purpose and balance as well. And the last speaker that we had, he transitioned from an IT job, took a year out, and then followed his passion. Now he's running an adventure travel business around the world, and he's really loving life, and things have changed for him. You've got quite a different story. But super inspiring, really. I mean, I had so many people message me saying that they're really going to be inspired by just hearing what your journey's about and what you went through and what you've learned most importantly as well. So tell me a little bit about your life back in Missouri. I know you were a commercial real estate broker
That's
a
right.
number of years ago. So I think you mentioned that you quite enjoyed that job, and
Well,
yeah.
I think the most important thing is to start out by my age, because I am 57, and
Mm,
so
you wouldn't believe it. I would not believe it.
uh, and and I think there's reasons why is because
Mm,
I don't have the stress that comes with living an unauthentic life. I think
yeah,
depression and so many of our problems are caused by living a life that we know is not authentic, and we're just
yeah,
surviving and just getting by, and
yeah.
waiting till the next vacation
Hmm.
or whatever, the next holiday, and we basically wish our life away.
Mm,
And doing nothing, or saving money till we're 65 to retire, and then we can't. We
yeah.
retire, but that money doesn't go very far. It just buys us time to sit in front of the television.
Yeah.
It's just not the life that we were
Mm,
interested
yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people, they retire and then they just switch off from life.
in.
And
Well, listen, it happens at 65 years old,
mm,
you may, if you haven't prepared yourself, you can't travel like you want.
mhm, exactly.
And I see so much of that, and we just basically sell our dreams.
Mm, mhm. So tell me a little bit about your life back in America when you were in the corporate world and you said you're a commercial real estate broker.
Yes, and so I came from a history of sales. I sold cars
Mm,
and boats, and I like the sales part where you can have passion. People buy from you if they like you. Sometimes the product doesn't matter, and so you have to find a reason for them to like you. You have to find a reason to like the customer, and that's really what it's relationship building is sales. And so I like that. And then I was a numbers guy. I have a master's degree in quantum physics, and so I understand numbers and how they work for finances, and then I also built it on will this project work? And so it gave me a lot of abilities to look at something and try to figure out the best use for it, and make sure that the client fit for the project they were working on, and so it gave me some freedom, and I was able to use my cell phone when they first started, and work from remotely, and instead of being in an office, and that was very important, I think. And so I had an office, but I spent 15 hours there, but I spent the rest of my time on the phone or in transit to work.
Yeah.
And so I found that was a little better. However, I still was caught in the matrix. We build a matrix. We build a very expensive home, and so we have to have a good job. And then we have our cars to drive ourselves from that, and we just build a matrix that we can't get out of. We have to keep filling it with money, and, to pay for the things that we think we need. Then we consume and buy more, and it's all about buying more.
Yeah.
And I found what I have found in all this is the key is the secret to living with us.
Say that one more time.
So what makes me and being comfortable and with next to nothing. And the more simplified you can make your life, the better it is.
Yeah.
And so now I've gone from the 7,000 square foot home and the 108-acre farm to I live in a backpack, and not because I'm broke. It's because I've realized the secret to happiness. It's not possessions.
Yeah. And so you did have. Sorry. No, carry on.
No, go ahead.
So I was gonna say, so
I can make in a minute.
So when you were a commercial real estate broker and you had the 7,000 square foot home and the 108-acre farm, I think you mentioned you also had it was a lake house with boats, and you had cars and motorcycles, and
I had everything.
Yeah. So
it was all that's America. So America now is you buy things, and it's now the Christmas season, and it's consumerism at its finest. And so so that's what we've got is you buy. That's how you prove your love to somebody. You buy them a new Lexus. You buy them things, and so that is what we've become. The television is marketing. Everything's marketing, and because you're not happy because you don't have my product, and there's something to be said with that. We get an adrenaline, we get an endorphin hit every time we buy something new, and so every time we buy something new, we get a little bit of high off of it, and then when that settles off, we want to buy something else new. It's a continuing process.
So
and that's not good.
So things did change for you. I think was it about 15 years ago, something like that?
Yes. Okay, so 15 years ago in 1 month, I woke up one day in the hospital, and I had actually been in that hospital 19 days, but this was the first day I'd woken up.
Wow.
And with no idea what had happened. And it took me months, literally, to come to grips with that I'd been in a motorcycle accident, that I'd been the victim of somebody else's negligence, and everything that I thought was important, I no longer possess.
Wow.
Yeah. And so actually, I wouldn't change it now for anything. And I went to Burning Man in America this year, and this is something that I burnt off because it is the past. Um, but I lost my wife, and I loved her very, very much. And I also lost my ability to walk, my ability to make music, my ability to have conscious thought, and it allowed me to rebuild myself mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and realize that the body that I was struggling with wasn't me. And so I learned that I am separate from my body. The actual, what is actually me, the spirit that is in every religion talks about. My body is my temple. So I had a broken temple for a little while.
Yeah.
And so then also typically what I find is that our mind is our enemy. We become our biggest enemy. And so when we learn to not be that enemy, to realize that our mind is going to play tricks, and our feelings and emotions and thoughts, they come and go, they're not real. And so we learn to control them instead of them control us. And so those things I took out of, and I did that in America. So I recovered in America after 2 years. It took a lot of hard work, and somebody inspired me. And then I realized that I had to fix my mind. My mind was the problem. And so that's whenever I came to India. I had out-of-body experiences in my near death, and I used that to figure out how this is possible. How was that a dream, or is reality a dream? And I've really come to realize that the reality that we see isn't reality at all. Everything is a perception in our mind. And so if we want to change the perception, then we have to change our mind to how we perceive it.
So you were really sorry. Cool. I was just going to say you were really put to the test with that concept. You know, a lot of people kind of just go through life and you know, life is easy or life is hard, but they carry on and with the same pattern. You had like the brakes put on your life almost. Your reality was dramatically changed, literally as well, right? And your reality was
literally everything. And then I was left with because I have a severe neck scar. I have a broken neck, and injury and severe stomach and arm and leg injuries that just were nearly insurmountable. I probably should have. And if I hadn't been at an American hospital, I would have died. And so, and obviously my wife did. And so those were, miracles. However, I didn't see the end of the tunnel. I saw a life of crippled, a life of, I couldn't wipe myself cleanly after using the restroom for 2 years.
Wow.
So it doesn't take much of that to get into your mind. And I was a victim. I took the victim's role and anger and all of the, I tried to make it not so, but you can't do that. You have to realize, you have to deal with what you've got. And so I used Buddhism and yoga to accept, everything is changeable, nothing's permanent. And if I would give most people 21 years, 7 months, and 4 days with someone that loved them as much as my wife did, you would take that.
Yeah.
And so I had that. And so I had that instead of bemoaning what I lost. I just have to say, wow, look what I had.
Yeah.
And that was a transition, and it took years to accept that and stop, or thinking about it and looking at pictures. And I realized that all I have is now, and so we have to live in this moment. You can't bring the past into this moment. You have to leave. The past is yesterday, and the future doesn't exist. It's imagination. We just have right now. And so I think I've mastered living in the moment.
Wow. So, I mean, a lot of people will be listening to this thinking, they might not have gone through the same situation, but the structure of your life has suddenly changed, and you might not be able to have what you once did. and maybe they're stressed, they're burnt out, maybe they've lost their job, maybe their marriage has ended, okay, but something's changed dramatically, and it's causing a lot of suffering inside. What would you say to them, kind of given your incredible journey, to get them through that?
Well, and luckily that's kind of what I do. I'm on a traveler's path, and I see people, and like today I taught a class to French people, and so I don't speak French, and so but I was able to communicate, and then one person helped with some of the adjustments, but I had a beautiful class. And just experiencing the moment, and looking for whatever it is they need, because we all have, everyone has trauma, everyone has a story, everyone does, and you can't say, well, your story's stronger than mine. It really doesn't work that way. And so the traumas that you have a toothache, the only thing that you can think about is your toothache. Okay, and so when your tooth hurts, it absorbs your mind. You can't have any other pain because your tooth hurts. And so it really is no difference of these other changes that you said. Something is causing you a toothache, and so so that requires to our thoughts and our feelings require energy. Everything is energy. And so we're pulling our vital energy into worrying about our injury or our pain. And that pain can be whatever. It can be, and usually the pain is caused by our own mind. It's our self grasping at something that we don't have, grasping at something we want, aversion to something we don't have, or wishing, so all of these things and that's what causes the suffering. And so just realize that everything is a pendulum. What hurts you today will be your pleasure tomorrow. Right. And everything is a swinging pendulum, and so you have to learn to accept what you can change, and change what you can, and accept what you can't. And of course, that sounds cliche, but it's very critical to realize those things. And if you can just make millimeter improvements, just little bitty improvements on those things that are causing you an issue, you put your attention towards it and see what is causing me this pain. Can I fix it? If the answer is no, then you have to learn to accept it. And if the answer is I can fix this, then you have to take those steps. And everybody wants to be a gangster until it's time to be a gangster. Everybody wants to be a yogi till it's time to get up at 7 o'clock and do yoga class, and then they're like, well, I'll do that tomorrow. And so one of the things I did in business, I was a business consultant. And one of the things I would teach people is how to handle their money, but also how to handle their time, because you are the janitor and you're the CEO, and everything in between you are. And so you have to learn where to prioritize your time and your energy. And the same is exactly true in your personal life. If you can spend 2 or 3 hours on Facebook, imagine what you can do if you put those 2 or 3 hours working on self-development.
And so when you were recovering, I know you said you had 2 years almost to try and even wipe your own bum. The injuries were very severe. When you were kind of going through that, what was your goal? What were you thinking? Like what were you focusing? As you said, what you focus on is where your energy goes, right? So where was your energy in those challenging times?
Well, I was wishing for my own death.
Wow. Okay.
I remember being disappointed in the sunrise.
Yeah.
Because that meant another day of struggling and thinking and stuck in my own mind, and I was wallowing in my own pity and my own sadness, and my friends, what were they going to say to me? What can you say to me? Cheer up, come on, And so I was left with, I was just left in despair, and I remember the taste of it. It was really good. And so my mother was smart and got someone to help rehabilitate me
Mm-hmm.
using yoga, but she didn't know that at the time. But the yoga was the path that was the person was on, and it struck with me, and I didn't have anything else to do, and
Mm-hmm.
I was very discouraged. And so when I started, I put my effort into it,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw improvements. And so then I saw real improvements, and then I spent 4 to 15 hours a day doing yoga. And
Wow.
so yoga and meditation
Mm-hmm.
and turning myself inward and looking, trying to make muscles move that had nerve damage, and
Mm-hmm.
trying to feel parts of my body that were numb, and so I studied the Vipassana style and the Bhagavad Gita, and I had left my body and was able to witness looking down upon the setting, and so I was very curious of that, and I also had spine injuries,
Mm-hmm.
and so I started studying the spine, and I repaired myself through my own mind and my own body, and
Wow.
so things that didn't work started to work, and
Mm-hmm.
so things I was told I would never be able to do, at 57 years old, I'm doing them.
Mm-hmm.
And this all started at 42. All started at 42 to 44 years old.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so it took about I calculated it right, about eight to 9 years to be able to not tell that I had been something had happened.
Wow.
And you tell something, I had some, but now at 15 years, you can tell. And I think I'm younger. I do sound therapy healing and crystal
Mm-hmm.
healing, and I do a lot of chanting. I drink a lot of water. I eat
Mm-hmm.
no meat,
Right.
and so just controlling those. And I do the Ayurvedic style of eating. And I time my water, but my sleep is perfect,
Mm-hmm.
and so the things that I fixed, not like I was before, but better. I don't have excess thoughts. I just live in the moment,
Mm.
and so my mind doesn't race.
Yeah.
I go through the day. I say Hari Om and Om as a
Mm-hmm.
mantra, and I keep my mind from being chasing thoughts that I don't need to have.
Yeah.
And so,
So,
and that's the biggest
mm-hmm.
trick, I think, is to literally stop yourself from thinking the same thoughts over and over. The only
Mm-hmm.
thing I want in my mind is something fresh and new.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
want to rethink something. I stop and think about going somewhere, and the same thought pattern comes over and over.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it's like the programs, a bunch of open windows on your computer.
Yeah. Yeah.
They slow the computer down, and our quantum computer brain is no different. It doesn't need
Mm-hmm.
to have excess thoughts.
Mm-hmm. So, a lot of people that they might want to leave their job, or they want to change their life because they're just not happy in what they're doing.
Right.
You went, and one of the big things that people go through is like financial strain, right? So you were here, you had this accident, you're in a hospital, you had this lake house with boats and cars, and that seems like quite a lot of strain financially, probably a lot of mortgages and debt and all of that kind of stuff. And you transitioned from that to a much simpler life, and now you're teaching yoga and doing some amazing retreats and adventure travel tours around in India, and retreats around the world. What got you to that point, that transition of, hey, I'm going to just stop all of this material stuff and go to a simple life? Well, how did you make that change? Because it's difficult for a lot of people. I mean, it's difficult for me as well.
Well, and I think that's probably the biggest hurdle. And so traveling alone, say I don't have someone to travel with. It's better to travel alone. That's when you get to really meet people.
Mm-hmm.
But here is what I have determined is that what do you actually need to be happy?
Yeah.
Okay? What things do you need to be happy? And so I have determined that I like a toothbrush and I like clean underwear.
Right.
Okay. And so those two things I like. And I can live with not clean underwear, and I can brush my teeth with my finger. However, I like those two things. Everything on top of that is a bonus. I like a dry, warm place to sleep. And so, but I can sleep wherever. And so, everything above that is a bonus. Okay. And so having possessions, I had so many possessions. I had a 6-bedroom, 6-bath house with a 6-car garage. With all of
Wow.
these things, plus the 3-bedroom, 3-bath lake house.
Mm-hmm.
And so everything I was stuffed full of things and memories and nice furniture. But the reality was this: all of those possessions were a burden when I couldn't wipe my own self.
Mm-hmm.
So my possessions actually were a burden. They were a burden.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, I couldn't even utilize my entire bedroom, let alone my entire house or my farm.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that I had as a possession was a burden to me, a huge burden.
Yeah.
Not just financially. What am I going to do with it? You can't have a car and you can't have a car and leave gas in it. All these things, and animals have to be fed. I couldn't even feed myself. And so every single thing that I possessed as a possession was a burden. Everything. And
Yeah.
nothing was a benefit to me, and I couldn't even brush my own teeth because I had hand injuries. And so I learned how to brush my teeth because I wanted to. And so, but I could not do that on my own. And so I had to learn how to brush my teeth, learn how to get out of bed so that I could use the restroom properly.
Yeah.
On broken legs and broken back. And so I realized that what do I need and what do I not need? And you know what you don't need? Any of the crap that you have. All of it you don't need.
Yeah.
And so, and then the other problem that in America, and I know this is a Western thing, is once you have some success, then you buy things, of course. And so now you have so many things. You have to have a home to put all your things in. And then you have to have a car to drive to work. And so now you have created this monster, I call it the matrix. You are in the matrix. You have to work. You have student loans. You have debt for your new furniture, debt for your new car, debt for your home. You don't need any of those. And so if people are having financial strain because of their financial spending, it's not usually because of their earnings.
Yeah.
It's usually because they're careless in how they spend. And so I got to work with businesses that are the same as people. However, you can look at them separately and you see how a business spends its money. And we'll spend money on that or that. And so the same with the humans is if you look at where they spend their money, most of it's wasted. $7 coffees. You don't need that. You don't need that. And so if you can be homeless, that's the best. And the only problem, my advice is different. If you have children, if you have brought children into the world, well, you have an obligation. However, still the materialistic, capitalistic needs that we think we have are really an illusion. It's a bad illusion. And so we end up, so if you think about it, $30,000 a year over 30 years, that's a lot of money. And so we've had our fingers on millions of dollars. We should not have financial trouble. And so it's a modern thing. This possession is a modern invention. It wasn't like this before. And so what I like about where I'm in is the people here are they don't have a lot of possessions.
Yeah.
And or what I like is I'm near a family that has one car for 4 families.
Wow. Wow.
And so, because you don't need a car all the day, one lawnmower for a bunch of people, and people share. It's just a little simpler, and that, to me, that's the first step. Simplify your life, and then you can unplug from it.
Yeah. So I'm sorry.
And you can live in this world without a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And I live in the most expensive country in the world, and so I also learned there without having a lot of money. And so it's the trick. The trick is to simplify and not need anything.
Mm-hmm.
How many shirts do you need? How many? How many
Yeah.
do you have?
Mm-hmm.
So how many pairs of socks do you possibly need? How many new shoes can a person have? And if we simplify all this down, I think the financial strain will go away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because it's mental. We think we have to buy these things, and it's the endorphin rush when we do buy it.
Mm.
So
was that the appeal of coming to India? Because obviously you were in the US, and it's quite a different lifestyle in India, and you spend a lot, almost most of your time there now. What was the pull for you to come there and live different lifestyle?
Sure. So I knew that there was this thing, and I wanted to study the Bhagavad Gita, and I knew the answers that I was needing were here in the game of yoga that I wanted to do.
Right.
And I also wanted to take some motorcycles up into the Himalayan mountains, do some trekking and some exploring. But I came to India for the esoteric studies.
Mm-hmm.
And I did 2 years of them, and so the thing, I started simplifying myself in America, getting rid of everything, and so the lake house I had no mortgage.
Yeah.
Okay, and so because I had gotten rid of everything and gotten rid of but even still, it has electricity bill and tax bill and telephone and cable bills, and so my paid for home was still $10,000 US a year. And so I started just getting rid of everything and less and less and less. And so finally I got it down to a backpack, one backpack.
Wow. 6-bedroom house, a lake house, boats, cars, all into a backpack. Well, not all into a backpack, but you got rid of that amount of stuff. It's incredible. Wow.
It is now. Yeah.
Wow.
And so what that allows me to do is I can go to Burning Man when I want to this year. That's very expensive. I took a road trip across America. Why? Because I'm homeless. I don't have bills. And I'm not homeless because I'm poor. I'm homeless because it's easy.
Yeah.
And the simpler, I don't have anything to fix. I don't have any insurances I need to pay for things. And so I don't have any of those things anymore. And I not having them has made me free. It's the burden is gone. The burden of possessions is the biggest thing to let go of.
Yeah.
And the next biggest possession to let go of is the body, because this isn't us either. We want to associate me as the body, and it's not. And so the number one thing to understand is our body is our temple. We've been told that, but this is just where we get to reside, the awareness that we have.
So talking about that, our body is our temple. I mean, yoga is a huge thing that helped you in your transition to recovery, and now it is your life. It's your lifestyle and life. There's people watching that will ask, well, maybe I don't know if yoga is my passion, or how do I know what to follow in life?
Yes.
How did you know that yoga was something you wanted to dedicate your life to and really follow it?
Well, and actually I didn't. And so I came for, and so I came for answers in a motorcycle adventure. because I was a yoga expert in America. And so I came with an open mind and to see what was available to me. And not as a teacher. I didn't want to be a teacher. I wanted to learn to help fix my body. I was still long enough in the process. I still had many things that needed repair. And so as I did this, my English was clear and my understanding was clear, and I grasped things very quickly, and I was able to explain things very easily. And so people started, and I started doing the energy healing, the Reiki work, and opening my third eye, and all of the things that people hear about, but I actually did them. And then I saw the difference that I could make to myself if people would ask for advice or help, and then I would help. And so then it just became to where people would line up for it. And so as I was here in India, I became a teacher, and not from having a diploma or something. I was able to fix myself. And so then I help them fix themselves. But the real thing that people need to fix is their own minds. That's our biggest enemy. And so that's where I was able to see through that. I was a good student in college, and I was an athlete growing up, so I knew how to be coached. I knew how to listen to people. I knew what, attitudes and, when people are coached. And so I take that part, and so I give everyone individual treatment in my class, even in a group class. You just have to look and be aware of where everyone is. And so, but that started with me looking and being aware of where I was, what triggered me, things that I didn't like, and I learned to understand, why don't I like that, and usually it's something unhealed in yourself that you don't like in other people. And so I started just doing all this self work, and it just fell into it. It's meditation and yoga are very important, and I keep it very simple. So my yoga classes are very simple. For beginners to advanced, because advanced yoga is awareness in the pose. It's not about Instagram and Facebook pictures, and that's why people don't like yoga because of that. Because I can't do that, therefore I don't like yoga. But that is not yoga. That is gymnastics. Yoga is about the breath and the body moving in synchronization and your awareness into what you're doing, and no matter what you're doing, that's yoga. And so I think taking that into your daily life just makes everything the colors better, and the food better, and the conversations brighter, just by being aware, focused in this moment, not the next moment.
You mentioned before, when you were in commercial real estate, that you really you enjoyed numbers, you loved relationship building, you love people, and then maybe before, but certainly after the accident and when you're recovering, you started to really love yoga, or you had a lot of benefit from that. So there were certain things that you grew, that you had natural abilities and natural talents for. And certain things that you developed as well. From your previous life when you were in commercial real estate, what natural talents or skills maybe that you built up in your career do you think you're using now in this new chapter of your life?
Sure. And so again, it was just being able to read people, just going into a situation and with a smile and assessing. What's the real story here? And so I had that ability a long time, and say, okay, this is how I think, but how could I be wrong here? And so I was able to, because as smart as we are, we're wrong half the time in our guesses. And so if we accept that with ourselves, then we look and say, okay, how could I be wrong here? and you say, no, I'm probably not wrong, but you look at it from all sides of view. Because our opinions are the lowest form of knowledge. What you think of something is the lowest form of knowledge, because chances are you're thinking wrong. And so it's just proven. The chances are of what we think of something is wrong. And so we have to say, okay, so my opinion of this doesn't matter, first off. And so this is just my opinion, and that's the lowest form. What's the real story? What is this? What's the real story? And look at reality as it is, not our opinion or our hopes of it, or what we hope it could become, but what is it? What is it right now? And so when you're doing a real estate project, you need to see, well, what's the reality of what's the problem here? And so no less than in your own life, that's the problem here. And many times it's easy fixed, but mostly it's not. Mostly it's an interrelated web of other people's feelings and emotions, and you have to look through those. The feelings and emotions aren't real; they come and go. The feeling and adrenaline rush that we get creates a different mind thinking, and so if we can always have oxygenated blood in our minds through yogic practices and breathing, then emotions don't grab us, and something triggers you, but you don't get angry because you just look at it for the real situation. Or someone says something to you that upsets you. Well, that's you. It's you that gets upset. And so we have to understand, why was I triggered by somebody else's opinion, which is the lowest form of knowledge. And so just assessing things as the reality. Many people go through life afraid that other people won't like them. Man, you have to have the courage to be disliked. Because people, they're not going to like you, not for anything of you, but for something unhealed in them. And you can't let their opinion matter. And so we literally live our lives on the opinions of others, and those people probably don't like you anyway, secretly. And so we have to learn the opinions do not matter. And now with the Facebook and everything, people want to put their opinion out there, but their opinions don't matter. If people's opinion of you doesn't matter. What does matter is your opinion of yourself. And so those type of things are the biggest change, I think. Is learning what's the difference of information and opinions. And so if it's your mother and that's her opinion, that's one thing. But if it's somebody that barely knows you, their opinion should not control your emotions. And so
it's
and I think that if more people learn to
you carry on, please. If more people learn to
learn to be simple and have simple needs and not care about the opinions of others. Now, you don't want to be a jerk, but you want to be you want to follow the principles of good living, but you also have to disregard people's opinions because they don't matter. In fact, you don't even want to know them. The best thing is to not care about other people's opinions. Just do the next right thing. You do the next right thing. And if you do the next right thing, then and make that a habit, then you don't have to worry about. You don't have to second guess yourself. You can just live in the moment.
What would you say is the most important thing to be able to change your attitude when you are feeling stressed, when you are feeling burnt out, when you're just kind of fed up of how life is going for you, and you might feel it's not reality, but you might feel in your mind stuck in doing something you don't enjoy. What would you say to someone that's in that situation in terms of how they could change their attitude?
Sure, I think that's very common, and so I think depression is caused by this, is because we know that we're in a cycle that isn't serving us, or maybe barely serving us, but there's no way out. And so My phone may be dying.
Okay.
I can't figure out what's going on here. Yes.
Yeah, resuming. Yeah.
Okay. So what were we talking about? I forgot.
So we were just talking about if someone feels stuck in their life situation, they might feel stressed and burnt out, and they're just really unhappy with their life, maybe their job or their career or their business. What would you say is the one or two things that they could do to really change their attitude? Because you said earlier that all these feelings and thoughts are actually all in our mind. So what could they do to change their attitude and start making progress to where they want to be in life?
Well, first off, you have to determine where it is that you really want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because
Right.
what happens is what happens, and it's happened to me in the past, is I simply changed where I was, but I didn't change any of my mindset. And so so the new place had some desire and some of the things that I was looking for to change didn't have the real change, because I just in a new place doing the same thing, having the same matrix that I'm caught in. I think the number one thing is to look at, what do I want to do? What could I do? And then what do I need to do that? Let's say I want to move to Bali. I live and work in Bali. What do I need to do? Okay, and so and do the research. I want to go to Thailand. I want to go to India. Or if you're in the Americas, I want to go to Mexico or the Dominican Republic. What do I need to do that? And not bring the same problems. Hold on a second. Hey, Papu.
Sure.
Papu. Anyway, I'm at the guest house, and so
Okay.
anyway, so yeah, so that's one of the things is to eliminate that. You can't be caught up in the same matrix mindset that got you here. And so you can't keep having car payments. You can't keep having payments. And so you have to eliminate those payments. And so one of the interesting things was the homelessness of that Buddha went to, and so and Jesus obviously. And so there's it's not easy to give up your stuff, your home, but really it's freedom, because our home is a burden. Even though it's our comfort zone, nothing really happens in the comfort zone.
Yeah.
We have to learn to be outside of that comfort zone and live in the moment. And so how to get to that point is, first you have to start getting rid of the excess stuff. Think of this. What is the worst thing people can ask you to do? Help them move. Help you move. Your buddy's wanting to move on Sunday. Oh no, because then you got to move all his junk from one place to another. Junk. And so when you move, you got to put your junk somewhere. Stuff you haven't used for 10, 15 years. You still need it. I don't want to get rid of it. It's my stuff. And so the trick is getting rid of that stuff.
Yeah.
And so, because what's the true value of it? It's minimal. And so you need now I have a backpack for my computer, which I don't even use hardly. And my other electronics things, and then my backpack for my clothing, and that's it. And so, and I have to, and it's super freeing, because if I want to get up and move tomorrow, I can stuff it all in my backpack in 15 minutes and be on my way.
Yeah.
And so to get to that level, you have to start eliminating what you don't need, because if you take $2,000 a month that you save in payments over 10 years, that's a lot of money. And so that's how you retire early. That's how you get yourself into something that you love, and then you find something that you love and just still keep it minimum. If you're a musician, just your musical instruments. That's all you need.
Yeah.
You don't need, and even then, do you need to possess them all, or do you just need the guitar that you use? And so, it's one of the principles of Buddhism and in yoga is the lack of accumulation. So the overwhelming desire to accumulate is the hindrance is a hindrance to yoga practice.
Mm-hmm.
And yoga not being the physical yoga, but yoga meaning the joining of the mind and the body.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're worrying about your possessions, who has my possessions? Somebody stealing my possessions. And if you can eliminate that thought, then it's very, very freeing. It's extremely freeing.
Mm. So the key structure is know what you want to do, and then start researching on how you're going to get there, and strip down and go simple to your bare essentials of what you actually need. And you talked earlier about what makes you happy. Well, it's a toothbrush, clean teeth and clean underwear.
Toothbrush?
Yeah.
And clean underwear.
Right. And so I totally understand that concept. There's me, myself included, when I was a student, back when I was a student, I think I was happier then than when I was earning, I was earning money, and I was earning a lot more money as well. And it makes you think, well, hang on, I'm earning all this money, I've got all these possessions, and yet I'm less happy than I was when I wasn't earning a penny. Why is that? Why is the possessions a link to happiness? And clearly it's not. It's very, very short-lived, in fact. So it's
well, in
really.
fact, there's been so many studies showing that wealth and fame are so detrimental to mental health. Wealth and fame are and I don't want to be like that, because I remember craving things and I mean I've spent $1 million on things that I can't even millions probably over my life, and you can do a lot of things with that money, and so now I don't have to worry about that because I don't have millions of dollars, but I have everything I need.
Yeah. What would you say to someone who has just decided, right, I'm going to quit my job and do something different? I've got some money together. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I want to follow my passion. I want to find something I love, and I'm not sure what to do. What would you say to those people?
Well, I would tell them to travel.
Right.
I would tell them to travel as a backpacker. And so, we have Asia and South America. You've got the U.S. You've got Australia. You've got India. You've got Morocco. All these places are backpacker friendly. Africa.
Yeah.
And so you just go and live simply and prove that you can do it. Prove it to yourself that you have a little bitty your toiletries and that's all you need. You have your clothes, everything that you need you carry with you. Yeah. And what you'll find is that people will try to give you things. You'll find something you want to buy, but you can't carry it because you got a backpack. And so you see something, oh, I love that, but I can't carry it. And so, because if you can't carry it, you probably don't need it. And so it's just something that you desire to have. And so you can possess it for a moment and then set it down. And that's, it works perfect. And travel, because how do you know what you want from Western media? And so how does one determine what do you want to do? How do you know that? So you should travel, and traveling by yourself is even better, because then you're forced to meet people. And so you don't have anyone else's agenda. You don't have to worry about anyone else's comforts or discomforts. You just have to simply worry about yourself. And so, and travel and get some advice on where to go and things to see and do. Uh-oh.
Well, unfortunately, Barton's phone died, or his connection died where he was in India. But we actually got through most of the planned interview. The only bit left was just to ask about how people can get in contact with him. So I will leave the links in the Burn Within Facebook group under this recorded interview, so you can find out more about his retreat. He's got an upcoming retreat in, I believe, Ecuador So I'll share a link about his yoga retreat there. And what a great interview. So much learning in that interview about having a non-authentic life that leads to stress, and actually how do you transition to living authentically each day to significantly lower your stress and look younger as well. He talked about bring some of your strengths from your previous life, maybe in the corporate world, or doing something you weren't necessarily enjoying, but you had certain strengths and natural talents, and bringing that into your new business or your new career. And so in Barton's case, he had very strong people skills, very strong numbers skills. So being consciously aware of that to build a plan to your future passionate life, your future purposeful life is really, really important. The other big point that he mentioned was about stripping to minimalism, and actually a simple life is a happy life. And when we take away burdens that we have, often debts and possessions that we don't even have, actually all we really need, when we go on holiday, for example, all we need is a bag with our stuff, and actually we can, if we choose to, live that simply. And because if we do that, it allows us opportunity to focus on what's important, and then focus on what you're passionate about and find balance and build from there. There's no need to have burden if it's actually a choice that we have. So many amazing concepts, sharing his attitude in times of crisis, and being the observer of his body and of his mind, to find solutions to when you're stuck in life. He was stuck in a hospital bed for almost 2 years, and using those yoga philosophies really made a big difference. So I hope you took a lot from the interview. I certainly did. And some of those things were familiar concepts to me. Some of them were kind of, lines that I've heard before, but listening from actual experience of these concepts being used in real life, and in extreme circumstances, they really do work. I'm going to be revisiting several of those concepts, particularly, stripping down to what's really essential in life, and working out what will make my days more authentic to lower my stress. So thank you for watching, everyone. And this is a recording. So feel free to share with friends, and I can't wait to see you on another episode of Burn Within. Thank you very much, and goodbye.